Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Well, check out Deal to Heal Tees. With our inspirational tees, you're sure to find something that will inspire you. Just go to dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. That's Deal to Heal Tees. Get some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That's Deal to Heal Tees at dealtohealtees.myshopify.com. Hey guys, this is Earnest James, host of the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, and I got a question to ask you. Could you buy me a cheeseburger? Better yet, could you buy me a value meal? Yes? Well, guess what? I don't need a value meal. However, for the cost of a value meal, you can support this podcast to keep us on the air. Just go to Patreon/Deal to Heal podcast and choose any one of the 3 tiers that's available. And if you just want to make a one-time donation, go to Cash App and make a donation to $EJames, the number 418. Make a one-time donation to the Cash App, or again, go to Patreon to support this podcast and keep us on the air. Thanks in advance. Be blessed. Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Earnest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, to heal, and to fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you listen, like, subscribe, and share to the podcast. Make sure you're subscribing on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, definitely our YouTube channel. I want to get those numbers up. We also on TikTok, Spotify, Instagram, pretty much everywhere, all the social media outlets. We are there. So make sure you guys are following us so that you don't miss anything. And also, don't be selfish. If you find value from this podcast, which I believe that you are, then don't keep it to yourself, but share it with someone else so that someone else can find value in it as well. Also, I'm going to tell you guys how you can win $100 from the podcast, but you have to stay until the end of the podcast, until the end of the podcast to get that information where you can win $100 from the podcast. I'll tell you all about it. So just hang out until the end and I'll get you that information. Our next segment of the podcast is called our product of the week. So our product of this week comes from our Deal to Heal Tees line of inspirational t-shirts. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That is our slogan and our motto for our inspirational tees. And our product for this week is our inspirational tee that says, "Don't whoosh, work." Don't whoosh or wish. Don't wish, but work. And those that are watching online, you can see it. So basically, the premise of the shirt, again, the shirt says, "Don't wish, but work." And the premise of it is a lot of times people treat their realities as if there are fantasies. And instead of putting in the work to get the things that they want out of life, they just kind of wish, or I wish I could, win $1 million, or I wish I had this job, or I wish I went to this school. But I want you guys to know that you can do anything that you put your mind to. But the thing is, you got to put your mind to it and then put the work behind it. So don't wish, work. And you can find that You can find that t-shirt on our Deal to Heal Tees website on Shopify, and that's where you can find it, as well as other inspirational tees that we have there also. So that is our product of the week. Also, our website is up, our official website, which is the dealhealfulfill.org website, which is our website for the business or the company of the dealhealfulfill.org organization. And also our ebooks website is up, ebooksbyejames.com. That's ebooksbyejames.com. There are several ebooks there that's available. You can go there to ebooksbyejames.com to check that out and become familiar with that. So today, this is usually the part where I say today, like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, but we're not blessed with the guests on this episode. As I told you guys at the beginning of the year, that I will be doing more solo episodes just to get more intimate with my listeners, so you guys can get to know me a little bit more. And so this is one of those one such uh, um, episode. And oddly enough, this episode is going to be called "How to Deal with Change." And of course, this is a little bit of change from the my normal that I kind of set precedent with the first season and the second season, which I always pretty much always had a guess. But I'm going to get, like I said, do a couple solo episodes now, to get to know you guys and get to know the audience, let the audience get to know a little bit more about me or hear from me and from my wisdom and expertise that I believe that I have, that I deliver in ways to help us to heal and deal with our problems, and also to fulfill our purpose. And one of the ways that we must be able to do in order to heal from our purpose or fulfill our purpose is to be able to deal with change. And a lot of times we have a problem dealing with change. People don't like change. We fight change. I know myself, I am a person who get into my own little routines, and I don't like when you mess up my routine. I'm the kind of person that don't like plans to be changed at the last minute, because it's like, hey, look, I had an idea of how things was going to go. Excuse me. I had it planned out. I had it mapped out. So even myself, I know that I am reluctant to change, even though I understand that change is necessary. And there was a saying that says the only thing consistent, should I say, or the only thing that's guaranteed in life is change. That things are going to change every second that you live. Time change as you get live day by day. You get older, so your age changes. The seasons change. The year change. Your jobs change. Everything changes. Everything in life changes. But yet, it's still lots of times we feel hesitant and resistant against change, right? But we have to understand that change is a good thing. Change opens up the possibilities of life. And oftentimes we're afraid of change because we're afraid of the unknown. It's the unknowing of something. What's next? The unknowing of the possibilities. Like, is it possible? Can I achieve this? Can I do this? What will happen next? What will happen to my family? What will happen to my children? What will happen to the world or our country? It's that unknowing that I think is the biggest fear and one of the biggest reasons why we have a problem with change. And so I want to talk about change today and how we deal with change. And so one of the ways that I believe that would make it easier for us to be able to deal with change is by a process that I have that's called the 3 A's, right? And the 3 A's is accept, amend, and then ascend, right? Accept, amend, and ascend. So one of the things that I grew up on in my mom's house, as well as other things that was hanging on the wall, but there was a plaque with the Serenity Prayer on it. And if we all know what the Serenity Prayer is, the Serenity Prayer is a prayer that says, Lord, help me to I think I did, my mind just went blank. Help me, the serenity prayer is help me accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I think that's it. And I think that's it, pretty much. So that's it. Having the serenity, the prayer is simply asking for guidance to know the things, to be able to accept the things that we can't change, and the courage to change the things that we can change, and then the wisdom to know the difference between the two. And so the first A in my 3 A process of dealing with change is accept, right? We have to accept the fact that whatever this change is, whatever this issue is, that this is where we are now, right? And so I oftentimes talk about, not often, but I oftentimes talk about my first failure that I talk about, which was me failing second grade. And that was a big thing and a big turning point in my life up to that point, which means it was a big change because I was a student who accomplished much. I was smart. I knew how to do the work and all of those things. But at that time, I got sidetracked with, being a class clown and following around the kid who was the class clown. And so I wasn't doing my work and things of that nature. And I ended up failing second grade. And that was a change because now I had to take that whole class over again, right? And even though I was quite young, it definitely still had a huge effect on my life. And I talk about the meeting between me and my father after that. When the report cards came out, and I had to answer for those grades that was on there, and stand before my dad, and answer for those grades. And he said something to me that changed the trajectory of my life. And he said, "I'm disappointed in you." And those words touched me to my core, and I was bawling even as a little kid because I was so hurt and disappointed with myself because I disappointed my dad. And so that became a huge turning point in my life. And my dad became my why, and which was he became the reason why I pressed forward to make things better for myself, press forward to give my all, press forward to learn what I needed to learn, and to put all those things into action in order to get back in my right grade, and all of those things, which definitely came later. But when that happened, I had to accept the fact, like, okay, this is where I am now. This is the position that I have put myself in because I didn't do what I was supposed to do. So now I'm here. And now that I'm here, I must accept the fact that I'm here, and accept the fact that not only what this means for me, but what it means for my family and my loved ones, right? And so when we are accepting the fact that we're in the middle of a change, in the middle of a transition, we have to look at it from all the ways, not just from how this is going to affect me, but how is it going to affect, my loved ones? How is it going to affect my family? How is it going to affect my work? How is it going to affect my job, and things of that nature? We have to look at it all the way around. So we accept it for what it is, but the only way we can really accept it is to really acknowledge the role that this change is going to play in every area of our lives. So when we think about divorce, how is that going to affect me personally? But then how is it going to affect my children? And then depending on your job, maybe if you were a business owner, where you and your wife was a business owner together, or you and your spouse, but now you're getting divorced. And so what is that going to mean for the business? And things like that. So we have to look at the change, whatever that change is that we're facing, and really acknowledge it, and not just acknowledge it for being a transitional situation, but just see what areas and how many areas that transition is going to touch and going to affect. So that is the first A. We have to accept change. We have to acknowledge, that there is something going on, that there is a transition. And now that transition has happened or is happening, how does it affect me, my loved ones, those I'm responsible for, my job, every area, what does it affect? So we have to acknowledge that and accept that. The second A is to amend, right? So the first A, we have to accept the change, but then after we accept it, the second A is to amend it, right? So to amend, which means acknowledge and accept it, but then now we look at it as what parts of this entire change can I change? What, right? What part of this can I mold? Can I adjust, to make it work for the better of my situation, to make it work better for my loved ones, or my living situation, or whatever the transition touches, whatever area that it touches, that we already acknowledged that it's touching different areas of our lives. But now we're going to look at it closer and see, well, what can I amend? What can I adjust? What can I change? What can I tweak a little bit within this situation, within this change, within this transition, that it works out better for me, right? So now, even if we're thinking about that relationship that may be ending, or even divorce, as I gave an example earlier, if we're looking at that divorce and say, okay, now, even though we are separate, how can I amend this a little bit? How can I amend this to the point that I'm spending more time with my children? How can I amend it so that I'm spending, more time at the job to adjust between, maybe the business that me and my spouse was working together, but now we're at this divorce. How can we amend the leadership roles within the business, that the business doesn't fall over or go under just because the marriage did? And so we have to look at it that way and begin to, amend and change those things that we have to change, or that we need to change, so that we can keep things going, keep things moving in a positive direction, and don't let the change, even though some of the change may be negative, that we don't let the whole thing become negative. Because there's a thing called the law of polarity, which says that there's nothing that is all good or all bad. There's a good and bad to every situation. So even in divorce, where it's unfortunate that a marriage may end, it also is the new beginning for both people involved, and both, even the children. And some of that may be negative, because it is the splitting of a family. But even in that, there is some light, there is some growth that happens, there is some maturing that happens, there's some ownership, with each spouse taking ownership of the part that they played into the downfall of the relationship. And they grow from those changes, and grow and amend even themselves for those changes that they're responsible for. And it helps them to become better people. So even out of a bad situation, there are some good, but we have to make sure that we are amending the change, that it works for us, that it works for our benefit, that it works out for us and for our loved ones. And the last one is to ascend, right? So we accept the situation first, the transition. We accept the change first for what it is and how it affects us and our loved ones. Then we amend by changing part of the change that we can. We tweak it a little bit, the parts of it that we can, to make it work for our benefit. And then after we've made it work for our benefit, the last one after amend is to ascend. Now that we've gotten this change under our belt, and we've accepted it, and we've changed the things that we could to make it work to our benefit, then we're going to move forward, right? We're going to use this change as a launching pad to launch us forward into the new things that's to come in our lives. We're not going to get stuck here. We're not going to just wallow in whatever this change is, because it maybe was a devastating loss, maybe a loss of job, or something like that. But we're not going to stay here, because with every change is a new opportunity. And actually, I was listening to someone, I think it was Les Brown. No, not Les Brown. It was Dr. Miles Monroe in one of his teachings. And he was saying that I believe in Asian culture, there's no word for tragedy, I think it is. But instead of the word tragedy, their word is opportunity. So where some people see tragedy, they're trained just because in their language there's no word for tragedy, is only opportunity. They're trained to look at every situation for the opportunity that is in it. So even though divorce may be bad, even though you losing your job may be bad, even though whatever situation you may be dealing with may be a bad situation, if you look at each situation, each change, each transition in your life as an opportunity, then that opens up the possibility of what all life still has to offer. Yes, you may have been through the divorce, but now that you're divorced and newly single, that opens up the opportunity to you to find love, a stronger love, and even better love, and even find more of yourself to be able to show up as yourself and even as a better version of yourself. Yes, the you losing your job may be a bad thing, but it also presents the opportunity for better employment, or maybe it presents the opportunity that you've been waiting for to step out on faith and become an entrepreneur and open up your own business, start your own legacy for your family. And so that's what I just wanted to touch on a little bit today. Just talk about change and just the opportunities that it change represents and that it presents. We can't be afraid of it, right? We can't have fear. The Bible says that God has not given us the spirit of fear, and fear is false evidence appearing real. Is one of the acronyms for it. And you guys know I love my acronyms, right? So it's not real. It's a false narrative that sometimes we put up on ourselves because we fear the unknown. We don't know what's next. We don't know what we can achieve. We don't know if the next thing that we're reaching for, the next goal that we're reaching for, that we're actually going to be able to reach. But when we step out on faith, when we push fear to the back and we step out on faith and press forward, then we begin to realize how much we really can do, how much we really can achieve, how far we really can go, But it's only when we step out, it's only when we accept that change, when we realize that change is a part of life, that is always going to happen, it's never going to stop. Everything is always forever changing. And once we're able to hold on to that thought and hold that thought and accept it, then after we accept it, we amend it to change the things that we can change to get it to fit our situation. And then once we do that, then we ascend and we go on, we take off, we launch like a rocket into outer space, reaching for the stars. And Les Brown, I believe, you just say, if you shoot for the moon, you might you still shoot for the moon, because if you miss it, you'll still land amongst the stars. I believe that's the great Les Brown words, if I'm not mistaken. But that's all I want to talk about today, man. Just talking about a little bit of change and give it a little message about it. Change is difficult, but change is necessary. And when we accept the change that we have in our life, then we're able to accept it, amend it, and ascend forward from it as a launching pad to reach for the stars. So that's what I wanted to leave with you guys today. Short message. It's not going to stay on too long. But I know I told you guys that I was going to tell you guys how you can win $100 from the podcast. And we are at the end of the podcast. So I always say you can win $100 from our podcast by joining our super subscriber contest. So what does that mean? That means you must first subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, our YouTube page, and our podcast on Spotify. Then text the word WIN, WIN, to the number 866-326-0730 to qualify to win $100. The contest is ongoing, which means it never stops, and it's random, which means that anytime I could pull a name and possibly pull your name and you win $100. I send it to you through Cash App or Zelle, however you want to get it. I send it through the mail if you want to. But in order for you to win that $100, you have to be in the contest. So again, you can win $100 by joining our super subscriber contest, which first you must subscribe to our YouTube page, our Facebook page, and our Spotify, our podcast on Spotify, and then text the word WIN, WIN, to 866-326-0730 to qualify to win $100. Thank you guys so much for that. Also, make sure you guys are checking us out with the Forgiveness Mission. Go to forgivenessmission.com. At the Forgiveness Mission, we hold free virtual workshops every quarter of the year. You have to go to Eventbrite to register, but we host virtual workshops every quarter of the year, and we talk about forgiveness, what it is, what it's not, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, forgiveness of the world, and just how much a part that forgiveness plays in our everyday lives, and we all need it. And again, it's free virtual workshops. Just go to forgivenessmission.com. That is forgivenessmission.com to attend our free virtual workshops, or go to Eventbrite and look up forgivenessmission.com on Eventbrite, because you got to go to Eventbrite to register anyway. But go to forgivenessmission.com and you can find all the information there. So, guys, again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in once again to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Earnest James, and I believe that everyone should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And my mission and the mission of this podcast is to help people to deal, to heal, and to fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next week, be blessed. Hey guys, I know you're enjoying the podcast. However, don't forget to join our text line at 866-326-0730. That's 866-326-0730 in order to receive text messages with new events and things that is going on and new episodes as they release. All right, see you in a minute. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.